So would you say mastering sales, where you're talking about making 3 times more for your family so you can pay for your kids' college tuition? Would you say that's really a necessity?
That's Jeremy Miner's new spouse objection handler. It's sharper than the last one we reviewed, but there's one move in here that if you replicate, it'll probably cost you the deal. I'm going to break down the 5 moves that Jeremy makes in this training, the 3 that I would use and the 2 that I would throw away. So if you run a high ticket offer, if you're selling a premium service that is $5,000 to $10,000, if you're a founder or a high ticket closer, then this is the video for you. Let's go.
So do we all know that anybody that responds to an ad, doesn't matter for a black book, for anything, do we all know that when they do that, they're basically raising their hand saying, help me? Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Otherwise they wouldn't respond. So we all know when a salesperson answers the phone or when they get on Zoom or whatever, we already know that we can help them. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're the number 1 salesperson in their industry, okay? Everybody always wants to get better.
So the first thing there is it's pretty good idea to set the frame that if someone opts into our marketing, they want help. Now, the nuance that it's missing is that the degree of help is all across the spectrum. So I know this, we've sold thousands of copies of our Neuro-Linguistic Questions playbook, and not all of them are ready to make a decision on that day. And we see this with trainers all the time where they say something along the lines of, you should burn the lead or basically call them and harass them until they buy because they opted in. But the reality is only about 3% of the market of the marketing is actually going to buy now. About 15 to 30% of that market will buy in the next 30 days. Another 15 to 30% will buy in the next 90 days. And another third of that market will never buy at all. Now, I'm pretty sure that adds up to 100%, but that's roughly the breakdown of what's going on. So while this is a helpful frame to think about, which is we're here to help people have opted in, it's kind of used by the gurus to massage the idea that you should harass people until they buy.
Okay, so the funding that you'll need to put into the training is going to be the 15,993.
Okay.
So you're able to, stop losing all these sales. Any questions on how that works?
No, I think you did a good job.
I'm not that cool, man.
Kudos.
Are you just trying to make me feel good?
So this is interesting, right? So he's presented the price, and what he's done is he's framed the price in a way which is, this is how it solves the problem of like leaking sales or losing sales, which is that's really beautiful, right? And then this rep has come back with this almost like a cheeky frame steal of you've done a good job. And we see this all the time with sophisticated buyers where your prospect might say something along the lines of, yeah, I see what you're doing. I've been on a sales call before. And so what Jeremy's actually done really well is he's broken the ice with humor. So in this role play, what the potential client was saying was, I see what you're doing. I see how you're trying to close me. And so Jeremy's actually beautifully diffused that with humor to try and level the playing field and then broken it up with a bit of a laugh and a bit of cheeky banter.
So what are you going to tell me now?
Probably what you expect.
What should I expect from you?
I mean, I'm a married man, Jeremy. You've been doing this for a long time.
Okay. What do you mean? You can tell me.
Yeah. I mean, are you married? Are you in a relationship?
No, I'm divorced, but
Okay.
married, yeah.
Would you be married? Yeah. So you know how kind of.
So there's a couple of things that happened there, right? So he's softened his tone. He's changed his body language, and you can actually hear it go down a notch. Okay, tell me more, rather than any kind of defensiveness. And so he's really lowered his kind of directness, and he's led with curiosity. So what did you actually mean by that? Which is, in all objections, that's pretty standard, right? We don't want to defend straight away. Let's just get curious around what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Crucial it is to make sure that when you have big decisions, you communicate with the partner. Like, it's not really wise.
You feel like this is a big decision, like mastering selling, so you sell more for your family?
Absolutely.
So he's interjected there to get clear on what did you mean by big decision? And this guy here is basically, the objection here is like, I want to speak to my spouse about the investment, which is $16,000 investment, which I actually kind of think not speaking to your partner about that is strange. So personally, like here, I'm not a big fan of handling spouse objection, but in these case scenarios, what I would be looking for would be to stress test what's actually behind the spouse objection to see if there was any other hidden fears. And the primary hidden fears are things like, I don't think it'll work for me. I don't think that I'll get a result. I don't believe that you'll get a result. I've been burnt before in the past. So there's actually hidden objections behind these more common ones that surface, right? So I think it's respectful in today's day and age for a significant purchase. Like we're talking like a $16,000. That's a lot of money for a lot of people, right? Not running that by your partner feels weird. to me. Maybe it feels weird to you. What we do here is we don't necessarily handle that. We handle the objection behind the spouse.
What's causing you to feel like it's a big decision? Because what would be a bigger decision? Like not learning these skills and staying at the same level, or investing so you can actually get where you want to be for her?
Well, in theory, what you're saying.
In theory, or is that reality? Because there's two different things.
Right. So this kind of objection handling is really combative, and it doesn't necessarily work for a lot of the clients that I've worked with, where it's like, it's trying to reframe the thinking. So we are in objection battle territory now, which is, that's not a good way to think. You should think this way, which depending on what kind of industry you're in may work. But my prospects, we don't love this stuff. So what I would do instead is I want to get clearer. Like I want to hear the full spiel of what's going on, get the definitions of things, and dig for the objection underneath the surface. The other interesting stuff, like with the hand gestures and that kind of thing, one of the things I've noticed with my clients is they might have done this kind of training before, and it feels like a lot going on, right? This kind of performative hand stuff, it does work. It's part of the neurolinguistic world. But if you're just trying to get clear on handing an objection, trying to add hand stuff into the mix is going to make you feel really overwhelmed. So don't worry about the hand stuff, but what's going on there. Don't stress about the body language, right? If you're just trying to overcome this objection better, the thing we want to lead with is curiosity. What's actually going on behind the scenes? What's the hidden objection?
What do you feel? Like, is that reality? Because like what happens if we walk away from this call and you have no plan on how to sell more taught by somebody who's actually mastered it themselves? Where does that path lead?
Well, I'll say the same.
I don't think you came here to stay the same, did you?
No.
Yeah. Does your wife want you to stay at the same level, income-wise?
And laying it on so thick, right? Like, in today's day and age, selling this way is just it's so forceful. It's so direct. Like if you talk to any kind of sophisticated buyer and you say to them, do you think your wife would want you to sell that way? Or like, do you think your wife would want to keep your income that way? It's not going to fly. So this kind of pain-based digging where you're leveraging partners to try and motivate somebody is kind of icky, right? So what do we do instead? We would ask questions along the lines of elaborating the pain. So tell me a little bit more about what happens if you don't do this. And you've said something along the lines of things will stay the same. And so I would use a metaphor here, right? So a metaphor is a way to bypass sales resistance without it feeling salesy, something along the lines of what I call the rose-tinted glasses. So rose-tinted glasses basically means people often see their situation with rose-tinted glasses. They see it better than it actually is. And I've had this conversation several times before where people have come in with rose-tinted glasses. They've said that, things would just stay the same, but they're actually looking at through a more glamorous lens than it actually is. And what I think is most important to talk about is, let's look at, if you don't increase this conversion rate by 10% or whatever it is, how much it's actually costing you in the deals that you're missing out on. Like what's the actual opportunity cost? And so let's say, for example, that this person makes $1,000 per deal, etc., and that they take maybe 100 calls a month. At the moment, they're converting 20 of those calls. An extra 10% conversion would bring them to 30 calls. And so that 10 difference times $1,000 commission would be $10,000 a month. And so we build opportunity cost by asking what is going on in terms of your sales. What would happen if you didn't solve the problem? I think that is a better way to do it, a logical appeal to the part of their brain that goes, yeah, you're right. Like if I don't increase my conversion rate by 10%, I'm losing customers every single month. And like if we just ground this in a real example for my clients, I had a personal trainer. He's selling $6,000 packages. He had 13 calls, didn't close any, right? So if he didn't invest in coaching to get his conversion rate up to 20, 30%, then he's losing, a ton of those sales every single month. And so he just deployed a quick system that we have, a framework, and he closed a deal the next day. And so the key thing here is to use a logical frame, not necessarily this emotional leverage against the partner, rather than that emotional leverage against the partner.
Well, that's a dirty fight.
Well, I don't know. Like, I don't want you sleeping on the couch if she finds out you're losing $4,900 a week.
That's true.
Yeah. Like how many?
So there we go. So there's the financial contrast, which is he's broken down how much he would be losing in commission a week, which is good, right? I would just use that as opposed to the partner stuff.
Like I could ask you this. How many of your prospects that you can help at the end say, I need to talk with my spouse? Just on average, how many?
A few. Not a ton. A couple.
Out of how many? You can tell me. I'm not going to go post anywhere.
I mean, it's not really a huge amount. Most of the clients I deal with are more like business owners. So usually I have communication with both of them there.
So he's trying to personalize it for the person. And so this is what we call an integrity frame, which is like what's going on for you. And if you're getting it, then you're probably, like if you do this today, if you do this objection thing with me today, your prospects are probably going to do that too. Now, I think this is actually really cool. I think this is true, right? If we're the kind of salespeople who we ghost people, we don't keep our word, we say yes and we flake, we cannot be mad if our prospects do that to us. How we are in one arena is how we are in every arena. And so if you're the kind of person who just can't say no to another salesperson, or you ghost, or, you know, you give a ton of objections, don't be surprised if that comes back your way. It's just the way that the world works.
How many of them? Well, yeah, sure. Depends on, but you're selling to more smaller businesses.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're going to talk with their spouse, right? That just happens.
It's more partner objection, but
Sure. Yeah. So how many partner objections do you get?
oh, it's like consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many of those do you actually lose?
No, I mean, a few.
A few.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell me, how many do you really lose? Out of 10.
The tone just feels really put on. I don't know if anyone else struggles with this as well. Like, it feels really performative. And I'm not trying to take away from the legend, right? But can you just imagine trying to put on this persona of like, you can tell me, like, it just feels really intense, really thick. But if you've done this kind of training before and it's felt weird to you, yeah, probably it is weird because it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel natural to me.
And they give the partner, how many do you really lose?
2 or 3.
I know you're not like the people that exaggerate their numbers out there. Like,
Yeah.
what do you really lose?
2 or 3 at least.
Okay.
Mhm.
So 2 or
So he's doing that thing that we talked about earlier, which is establishing the opportunity cost of how much commission it's costing him.
3 a week. So how much is it per sale that you make?
10 grand.
Okay. So you're talking about losing, what is the math on that?
I mean, it's 30 grand.
Yeah. 30 grand a month.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why a prospect tells you, I want to talk with my spouse psychologically? Do you know what's going on in the brain?
They want to stay married.
I don't know. Like, typically, what's the biggest cause of somebody getting a divorce? What's the number one cause?
Communication and money.
It's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just real intense, right? So it's like, you're going to get a divorce if you don't buy my product. And I think he did this in the last one that we reviewed, but honestly, I'm never doing this. Like, this is just hard no. Linking the cost of inaction to divorce is just crazy. Like, if this existed anywhere else in our industry, you would just be like, I'm sorry, what? Can you imagine being on the other end of this, right? Like, if I was to say to you, if you don't buy my coaching services, then you're going to get a divorce. Like, it's gross.
You make good money, Jay.
It's money.
Yeah,
sure,
money's,
sure.
money's not an issue. It's not like I
Sure.
can't afford the program.
Yeah.
It's just a respect thing.
Well, it just depends on how people look at it, right? Because if they want to make more money for their family, because there's always another level. That's why you came here, right?
Yeah.
So going back to the money part. So analyze that. So why does the brain seek third-party validation? Because the brain was not meant for us to thrive. It was never built to thrive. It was meant for us to survive. So anytime the brain feels like there's change coming, or there's growth coming, or something unknown, it has that fear of change. So your prospects are going through that fear of change in their mind, even though they know they need what you're offering. Would you agree they know they need what you're offering?
Most time.
So most of the time?
Well, I mean, if I do a good enough job, and I usually do.
Well, sure, right? But they have problems.
Sure.
Can you solve those?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's selling something you do 2 people or selling something you do 4 people?
It's 4.
Yeah, 4 people, right? So we're doing that for them. So their brain goes there. The brain goes there where they're like afraid of this change, even though they know they have to, like they know that if they did it, it's going to get them the best results.
Mm-hmm.
So he's using, how we talked about metaphors earlier. This is what we call model selling, where it's using an idea like psychology or how the brain works to shift the belief system. And so this is actually really quite powerful, and worth noting what he does is we can use metaphors or analogies to shift beliefs. That is way more effective than saying to someone, your belief sucks and you need to change it. And so we talked about the rose-tinted glasses before. Another example of like models of thinking is like in nature. So nature has a lot of good examples. So let's say one of the things that someone says is, I need to think about it. I need to get all my stuff in order. And we've done everything else to stress test the objections. You would say something along the lines of, what's interesting about in nature? They would go, well, what's that? You would say, so if you've ever noticed ducks when they cross the road, most people are waiting for their ducks to line up. That's what they say, right? Can we get our ducks to line up? But the ducks don't line up until the duck actually starts walking. And when it walks, then the little ducklings form a line behind it, a straight line. And so instead of waiting for our ducks to get into a row, we should probably take the first step and then the ducks will line up afterwards. That's a really bad example of how we can use metaphors and stories to bypass objections. And there is a video on this channel, it's called Everything You Know to Handle Objections, that goes deeper into this, how we tell stories to overcome and prevent objections.
So when you lose these sales, like, what do you actually say to them when they give you the objection?
Well, I mean, when they get, not much. I mean, after
What
they
do you
say,
say? What do you say to them when they give you the objection?
like, you want me to role play with you, or
Yeah, just tell me. What do you say to them when they give you the spouse?
I try to help them understand that, like, if they stay in the same position, like, they're not going to move forward.
Yeah.
And I try to get,
Why do you do that?
because if they stay in the position, they won't move forward.
Yeah.
They won't progress.
It's because you care about them, don't you?
Absolutely. You care about me?
Yeah.
But
If I turned it around
Yeah.
and you were saying it to me,
Yeah.
you'd probably say, like, what's going to happen if you don't get in the training? Like, how are you ever going to get to that level for your family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, can we be real for a second?
Well, let's be real.
Okay.
Right? Because in reality, like, who would actually say, because you want to get to the next level.
You can see how uncomfortable the rep is, right? So the rep is representing the everyday person like you and me that goes, Jeremy, please, this just feels really thick and put on. Can we be real for a second? What he just said there, can we be real for a second, is everything about this video. It's everything about guru style selling. As this person is sitting there going, let's be real. And Jeremy's reframing him, coaching him because he has an authority frame, right? Where he's going to tell him that, he's just going to bypass it rather than addressing. You're right. This does sound put on.
Right?
Yeah.
And in reality, who would say that they want to get to the next level, but then they want to get like somebody else to give them validation, which I know your lovely wife, right?
Yeah.
Wife, because who would do that? Somebody that's a dabbler or somebody who's committed to mastery?
But couldn't you also say that I'm a careful, loving husband and respectful?
I'm sure you are. And you know what? That's why I love working with salespeople like you are careful and loving, right? Because like if your AC went out like right now,
Yeah.
you care about your.
So what Jeremy's tried to do there, we used to call this the puppy dog terrorist close. And please forgive the language. It's just who I learned from my mentor. Where basically it says you could be one crappy thing or you could be another great thing. And in this scenario, it's gone down like a sack of potatoes where he said you can either be a dabbler or you can be committed to mastery. And he's just gone, or I could just be a considerate husband who runs things past his partner, which is a reasonable request on a $16,000 sale, guys. Like that is a reasonable thing to do, as long as we have stress tested the objections behind that. So we could look at handling this in a way which goes, yeah, absolutely. I run things past my spouse as well. We're a team. We make decisions as a household. So if we just park that for now, assuming that you will chat with her, partner aside, would you do it? Right? So the same way you can handle the money objection, which is like money aside, would you do it? Just do the same thing with the partner objection. Okay, cool. That totally makes sense. I'm not a big fan of trying to handle the partner objection, right? Because they're a part of your life. They're your partner, 50-50. That makes sense. So let's just put that aside for a moment. Partner aside, would you do it? And we get them to clarify what the actual objection is. If they said yes, go, fantastic. Do you have everything you need to accurately explain what we've talked about today to your partner? Because chances are they're just going to see a line item of $16,000 and they're going to say it's too expensive. So when she says that, what are you going to say? So the partner objection is really about how do we on-sell this problem? How do we get our prospect to on-sell the problem to their spouse? Because they were already going to make that decision. We can't stop them from making that decision. We need to empower them to have that conversation. And so we would actually coach the prospect to the point where what I want you to say is along the lines of, currently, my conversion rate is 20%. I want it to be 30%. If it gets to 30%, I'll be able to make an extra 10 grand commission. If I make that 10 grand commission, this program would pay for itself in 2 sales. This is what we want to get our prospect to train them, basically to say to their partner is, here's the problem, here's the outcome. That's how you actually handle the partner objection.
Your wife, it's like 108 degrees outside. Like, are you going to like call her like, hey, can I have permission to get like the AC so we don't sweat to death? Or are you just going to go do it?
Depends on the cost.
Well, I mean, it's 100.
That's a legitimate concern, right? Like if my AC broke and it's like cold as balls in our house here. We live in New Zealand, bottom of the South Island, right? It's really cold. And it's going to be $20,000 to replace the AC or whatever. I'm going to quickly call my wife and say, hey, here's the problem. I think it's about $20,000. We have to fix it. I've looked at some other quotes, just checking if you're cool with it. Yeah, cool. I trust you. Right? It's a courtesy thing in a healthy relationship.
8 degrees.
Yeah.
Or are you just going to be like, oh, I'm not going to have AC. Or are you just going to go do it?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, because it's a what?
It's a necessity. It's a need.
Yeah. So would you say mastering sales, where you're talking about making 3 times more for your family so you can pay for your kids' college tuition? Would you say that's really a necessity?
Absolutely.
So what's going to put you, because I'm sure it's not your real intention just to keep the $15,993 in your bank account and hope and pray that inflation doesn't take it out and it's going to be there forever, right? I'm sure your real intention is never have to worry about money again.
So laying it on real thick, right? Like if you don't buy my services, your kids aren't going to college. Like, oh, look, that's like, I mean, am I the only one who just thinks that this is so direct? It's so intense. Yeah. So yeah. And then layering on, I do like this though, right? So, it's opportunity cost of cash in the bank. And this can be helpful when done correctly, which is, you've got $16,000 sitting in the bank there. Inflation's at 7%, right? So like really this money is losing you. If we look at the return, the potential return, you said that one deal's worth 10,000. So how many deals would you need in order to pay for this investment? About 1.5. So this is how I would be thinking about it. And if we just park the money aside for a second, we park the partner aside and we assumed all of that was good, would you do it? Yeah, I would. Okay, cool. So what do you need from me in order to make this conversation with the partner go smoothly? Or is this something that you can commit to today? Right? So we're not trying to handle the partner directly because it feels too intense. We're trying to go around the side, if that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's going to put you and your spouse in the best position to never have to worry about money again?
Well, making more sales.
Yeah. And that comes down to what? One thing.
Skill set.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to put you in the best position to get the skill set right now?
Well, learning how to do it efficiently.
That's what I would do. Now, the first thing I would have done first, though, but you just took it a different way, so I couldn't. I was like, well, how does your spouse feel about you losing XYZ dollars per month? Let's do that way. How does your spouse feel about you losing like $4,900 a week?
The real answer is she doesn't think about that. Like, she's not my sales coach, so she's not sitting there going, right? Caleb, you lost a sale this week, so you cost us X amount of dollars. She just doesn't think like that.
Buy stuff, she
How
doesn't
does
really
she
care.
feel? She doesn't care about losing $4,900 a week. Come on now. We all know. Why does she really feel about it?
She doesn't know.
Well, if she knew, like, you wouldn't told her, like, hey, because of like where I'm at skill set wise, I'm losing close to $20,000 a month. Where would her jaw probably go?
Yeah, she'd be upset.
Yeah. Why don't you sleeping on the couch tonight? Does she want you to like really
Sleeping on the couch tonight? Please, man. What is this? Like, nobody talks like that. Hey, babe, I lost $20,000 this week. No.
master this so you can get up to that level? What would she want you to do?
Well, she'd want me to make the money.
Of course, right? And then I would go into the other frames.
So yeah, I mean, that was the video today. I'll see you in the next one. I hope this was valuable. Peace out.